That's quite big.
What is going on? My name is Silky and welcome back to Dead Cells. Today, I'm back with another run, this time a survival run. Now I know I've said in the past, survival is my least favorite color to play, but I think a lot of the builds in survival are actually really viable. And today, the weapon that I'll be featuring is the broadsword. I post Dead Cells content mainly in the form of guides as well as 5BC gameplay runs just like this one. If that sounds interesting, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like what you see, you can unsubscribe at any time. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I'm just gonna start out in the prisoner's quarters. Now I'm gonna have to apologize for not starting out with the broadsword. In fact, I actually come across it pretty late into the run. The reason for this is because I do all of my runs in normal mode. In the beginner parts, in the prisoner's quarters, I picked up the heavy crossbow because I wanted to play around with it a bit more. So some people have been suggested that it's actually pretty good, and from what I've seen, it is pretty good. The main reason that I wanted to try it out is because I wanted to pair it with the new mutation kill rhythm to see if it actually interacts with the reload animation. Because as far as I can tell, kill rhythm essentially speeds up your weapons when they are alternated, and I wanted to see if it actually works with the heavy crossbow. Now I know this is only temporary, so I will be switching it out for the broadsword later on, but in the meantime, because I have a range setup, I'm going to head into the Dilapidated Arboretum because I think this biome is really suited for range setups. And before, with the heavy crossbow, this weapon used to be like the most overpowered thing in existence. Because back then, when two-handed items weren't a thing, this item was actually what I used to get to 4 BC. So this was the only weapon that was so good that you could essentially cheese any difficulty level with it. And it was very, very unhealthy for the game, because all you had to do was press the square button and it basically locked the enemy in place so you can just smack it with the heavy crossbow. And before the update, they didn't have two-handed weapons, so you didn't even have to reload. You could just spam the square button over and over and then everything in your path just dies, which was just beyond busted. So, in a recent update, at least I thought it was like a year ago, but basically the devs updated it so that it is a two-handed weapon, and there I found a curse chest in the Dilapidated Arboretum. There's only a 10% chance of that happening, so I kinda got lucky here. I'm going to speed up the parts where nothing really happens, and just gonna head forward to the part where I actually fight some enemies, because it's actually interesting. So I believe the kill rhythm mutation speeds up your weapons when you alternate them. However, it scales up the more stats that you get in survival. And once it actually stacks up to a certain amount, it's actually pretty substantial. As in, the speed up actually becomes pretty substantial. And you'll see later that it's actually able to reload really fast. And I didn't think this was gonna work, but at least from what I can tell, the reload animation is actually faster now that it's affected by kill rhythm. So this was a really nice surprise to me because I never thought this would work. And this actually, I think, makes the heavy crossbow more viable because of kill rhythm. Before, it kind of just suffered because while you could still just spam the square button, it just didn't do enough damage. And that was mainly my thing with it, because on my tier list, I believe I gave heavy crossbow a C or B tier, I can't quite remember. But honestly, now that I look at it, it is definitely at least B tier. Now, I've said this numerous times in the past, I don't like two-handed weapons, they're just not that creative, it restricts your playstyle. And with this particular heavy crossbow, I didn't even have piercing shots, so it made it a bit worse than what I would like it. And I actually carried this heavy crossbow all the way to like the end of the first boss, because I wanted to play with a slow melee weapon. That's what I knew I wanted to play in the beginning of this run. That's why you see that I have the ice shards in my backpack, because I'm already gearing it up for a slow melee weapon. So it was either gonna be the symmetrical lance or the broadsword, whichever one showed up first, that was the one I was gonna play with. And I don't know why I just wasted the ice grenade there. Probably should have played around it a bit more. I wanted to pick up Frostbite for my first mutation, but I really wanted to try out the interaction with the heavy crossbow and kill rhythm. And even the sickles here are actually doing some work for me, which is a very nice surprise. Now, the sickles, I feel like it can actually deal a crap ton of damage if you can actually use it effectively, and if you have the right build. Now, if you're a very mobile build, I don't think it's going to work out too well because you're never going to have a time to keep them in the air because you're too busy dodging things to even care about the sickles. But if you can allocate some brain space to use the sickles, then it can actually be pretty good in my experiences. And we already have 120 kills, so I believe I've flawlessed the Arboretum so far, which I don't do very often because this is a very big biome. And most of the times I will get hit at least once or twice. Now, the Arboretum is one of those biomes where you generally don't want to get hit, because as far as I can tell, the yeeters, the ones that throw the mushroom boys at you, if they hit you with a melee hit, it actually launches you backwards, and if you land against a spiked wall, it can potentially land you in a lot of trouble. I'm gonna move on forwards to the prison depths, get the curse chest, and I'm gonna speed up this part of the footage as well. Already having to lift 2 curses this early in the game is just not something that I do very often. I thought about taking the flamethrower turret. It works out, I would say, pretty well in survival, though I thought I didn't have enough synergies to go along with it. And it's just not as good as freeze, because I think freeze is what survival builds really need in order to make them stand out. Just gonna play really cautiously with the knife throwers. For some reason, they kind of like track your movements. If you're hiding, if they see you and then you hide behind a wall, they actually just like stand there and they just wait for you to come back. Now, what you can do is you just keep waiting there, and then they'll eventually get bored and just leave. So that's something that you can do if you're ever detected by a knife thrower and you don't know what to do. So here, fighting an elite rampager, not really a problem. Again, just lock it in place with the explosive crossbow. Obviously, if you do it too often, you are gonna have to reload. So this is one of the ways they balanced this weapon. Since you couldn't just endlessly spam it anymore, you have to reload once in a while. The only problem with this is that sometimes the reload takes up too much time and you can't get enough opportunities to retaliate your attacks. But if you plan your reloads well, I think the heavy crossbow is actually really viable. And for what I can tell, the kill rhythm is actually affecting the reload time on the heavy crossbow. Now, I know you must have realized by now, but recently I have been getting less and less uploads on my channel. The main issue is that I've just been too busy with life. But the other thing is that I really care about each and every video that I put out, so I think the reason why my channel has blown up so much in the recent months is because I was able to keep my consistency of the quality of my videos. Now, I've seen a lot of people reach out to me and ask me, you know, how did I blow up this much? How did I gain this many subscribers in a very short time? And having to cover a fringe game like Dead Cells, that is a really big accomplishment in my opinion. In all of my videos, I tend to try to get it to the best version that I can. Obviously, with the growth of my channel, I've been trying to increase the quality with every passing video. So now in front of my 5 DC runs, I've been trying to put some skits at the start to kind of hype things up. And this is an effort to increase my retention rate for my videos, because most of the times when I look at the retention rate on my videos, especially on my older ones, people don't watch that much of my videos actually. If you look at my 2.1 melee tier list, the average view time for that video is only about 17%, which is extremely low. Now, obviously, the longer your videos are, the less of the total video that people are going to watch. This is pretty natural because nobody has time to sit through an hour-long video, and here getting into quite a bit of trouble with the elite hammer as well as the slasher coming in. Now, they did say that in the 2.3 fix, they are going to change that, so when you're fighting an elite, nearby enemies cannot turn into elites from the melees for at least the first couple of seconds. So I think this is actually really helpful for the game, because you're too busy fighting the elites originally that you don't really have time to focus on killing other enemies. And here, just able to one-shot that elite knife thrower, really nice. The heavy crossbow actually does a crap ton of damage if you manage to do a critical hit with it. Gonna find a challenge rift, and I'm going to speed up this part of the footage as well. I wanted to film my entire process of actually going through the challenge rift, but I also don't want to show the entire thing because honestly it's just me going around and it's not really interesting. Yeah, with those saw blades you are actually able to just duck under them, and that's one of the few ways you can dodge it without too much trouble. It looks like it's going to hit above your head, but it actually doesn't do that. You can just duck under it. And then with this automaton, I just gave it the slip, going forwards to the Morass of the Banished, and just kind of left the automaton behind. Gonna fight the first tick monster. I wanted to try out how good the heavy crossbow is against these guys, and it is just doing insanely well. I mean, as you saw there, that thing died in like 2 hits. So moving forwards, I'm going to find yet another challenge rift, and I'm just going to clear out this little section here before I move along. I thought about keep going with the biome and coming back when I'm done, because I thought I could get 60 kills, and if I ever got hit in the challenge rift, had I won in right now, I would have just lost my streak. But for some reason, I decided to risk it. Obviously, I think it's better if you play it safe, but I was just getting too impatient, and I just wanted to get it done right away. Again, this is the second challenge rift I've come across, and I'm just gonna speed up the footage so it's not too boring to watch. And again, no hit the challenge rift, not a problem. Gonna keep going with the biome. And if you're wondering when I actually get the broadsword, I actually get it in the graveyard. So after Mama Tick, I did farm for it in the shops, but for some reason it just didn't show up. I honestly would have accepted any type of slow melee weapons, but none of them showed up. So I didn't really have a choice to just keep going on with the heavy crossbow. Now, had the weapons that I wanted not show up, I probably would have just gone and made this video about the heavy crossbow, but fortunately it did show up. It just happened a bit later than I expected. So until then, just enjoy this heavy crossbow gameplay. And with my mutations, I was finally able to pick up Frostbite. It is just extremely powerful because I think every single survival build wants it. So back to what I said about qualities on my videos. I know I kind of got sidetracked there, but basically I try to put in as much effort as I can into these videos because I know the more subscribers that I have, the better my videos should be because of like higher expectations. I've been trying to create skits in front of my 5BC runs, and it's been pretty fun so far. The process is very unique from one another because I think consistency of the quality of your videos actually matters to how much your videos will be recommended by YouTube. Basically, there's a reason why bigger channels like MrBeast can get all of their videos to like a couple million views every single time, because all of them are high in click-through rate and retention rate. So not only are a lot of people choosing to click on the videos, they're also watching pretty much the entirety of them. So the process of here is to try to get your audience to watch as much of the videos as possible. Now obviously some effort have to come from your part because you have to be engaging for your audience to watch if you want them to keep watching you. So this is what I've been trying to do with my commentaries. A lot of people have been saying that I'm doing actually pretty well for commentary skills, but actually if you look at some of my recent videos, just count how many times I say the word honestly and like in those videos, because you will find just so many. And this was something that I just found out when I was editing those videos, and I just realized how bad I am at commentating, because these things, you may not notice it at first, but if you actually pay attention and listen to what I say in each videos, it actually becomes pretty substantial and it adds up. So it really adds to the quality of your videos, and I've been trying to create more intonation, try to be more funny, trying to crack some jokes here and there, just trying to make things more interesting. And apart from that, I also try to show the best parts of my build, because let's be honest, no one wants to see me just running through a biome where nothing happens. No one wants to see that. Especially if I just leave the run uncut, then parts of the video will just become too boring to watch, and I don't think a lot of people want to see that. And I think this is the reason why I've been blowing up on YouTube so much recently, because if I were to scale the quality of my videos on a scale, then it would go from 0 to 100, where 100 is like internet historian level of quality in your videos. When you see a new internet historian video, you just gotta say, I gotta drop everything and watch this new internet historian video, because it's that good. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have the 0. So 0 is basically like, I would rather watch paint dry than watch this, because it is just so boring. So if I were to put the scale that way, I would rather have 5 videos where I was at like 80%. So I would rather have 5 videos where the quality is at 80, then 4 videos at 100, and then 1 video at 0, because I really care about consistency. So anyways, moving forwards to the Mama Tick fight. just dodge through the tentacles. Now I do have the cocoon here, so it's gonna help out quite a bit. And as you saw there, the heavy crossbow is just so powerful right now. I'll probably feature a run with it sometime in the future, but for now I'm just going to kind of have it as a placeholder. Now you might think that the heavy crossbow is upgraded at this point if it did that much damage to Mama Tick, but the thing is, this heavy crossbow right now that I have is actually the 4th tier, which is the one I picked up in the very beginning of the game. So that is something that is very, very unexpected. I honestly didn't think it will be this powerful, and just like that, no hit Mama Tick easily. Gonna move on forwards to the graveyard, and here is where I'm finally able to find the broadsword. Just gonna wait a bit, obviously. And going back to what I said about quality, now of course, retention rate and click-through rate, that matters a lot when it comes to YouTube recommending your videos, but the other thing that comes up is of course engagement on your videos. So every single one of my videos, I know I've been getting a lot of the same people commenting and liking the videos and saying, you know, commenting for the YouTube algorithm, because the thing is, YouTube will actually recommend you content more if it detects that people are actually engaging with your video. So this includes leaving a rating or leaving a comment. So thank you to everyone that has liked my videos and has commented something. It doesn't even have to be productive, as long as your videos show some degree of engagement, then YouTube will just recommend it to a wider audience. And I think this is the reason why all of my recent videos exceed my subscriber count, because YouTube thinks that a lot of my subscribers really like the video. So if a video has a high like ratio, then YouTube will more likely to push it out to a wider audience. Now obviously, once the videos go out to a wider audience, then less people are likely to actually like your videos because they're not very familiar with your content. And here finally I was able to find the broadsword in one of those rooms, and I'm going to dual bind it with ice shards. You'll see in a second, it is just so powerful. And this was something that I honestly did not expect to come out of broadsword, because this weapon historically has been extremely slow, and that was one of the things that was blocking it from being very good. Because as far as I can tell, the broadsword actually does a crap ton of damage. And as you saw there, it's just able to handle these monsters with ease, and paired up with the frostbite mutation, it is just able to do so much damage. Gonna find the curse chest in the graveyard and move on forwards to some enemies to fight. So behind this door are some enemies. I'm just gonna fight them here and use it to clear the curse. Now, I actually saw this door like a couple minutes earlier into the run, but I decided to leave it because in the event that I cleared the entire biome without having to leave enough monsters for the lifting of this curse, I would have just came to this little door here and just killed the enemies in here instead. And thankfully, there was enough to clear the curse. And coincidentally, that also led me to the food shop. And at this point of the game, I have not expended a single health flask. So I am doing extremely well in this run so far. And you see here just how powerful everything is. Now that everything synergizes very well together, I have the kill rhythm as well as frostbite to basically trivialize any small enemies in the game. I move on forwards to the caverns. Got a bit greedy there with my attacks. That's how I got hit by the ground shaker. I know it's going to suffer a bit in this biome because I know that ground shakers cannot be stunned. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the length of my videos. Now, as far as I can tell, I've been trying to lower the overall duration of my videos. So I think normally, originally, I wanted my 5BC runs to be about like 30 to 45 minutes long, but now I've been leaning more towards around 20 something to 30 minutes long. Because I think it's like a perfect cutoff point where you just leave everything that's interesting and just leave out the boring stuff. I mean, I would rather have like 30 minutes of just straight up quality content, quality gameplay, me actually going through fighting all the bosses, showing all the highlights, then have it like 45 minutes with the majority of the good plays, of the good interesting bits, and just have, but also some like filler tagged onto that. Because like I said before, consistency is what I strive for. I think it's very important when it comes to creating YouTube content. And I know a lot of the other Dead Cells creators are Twitch streamers. I don't have anything against it. I know Twitch streaming is very different from making YouTube videos. So I know a lot of those a lot of the streamers suffer because they have trouble kind of just toning everything down to like 30 minutes because most of the streams last hours. And since Dead Cells is a small game, I don't expect the streamers to have a lot of budget. So normally if a streamer is very popular, they have a considerable amount of money at their disposal, they can probably hire some editors to skim the videos down and kind of just make it shorter and more interesting with edits going in. But I know Dead Cells streamers don't really have that luxury, so it's not really something they're able to do, and that's totally understandable. But anyways, gonna go back to the run. So you see here, I know the third hit on the broadsword does a crazy amount of damage, and just like that, you saw with the elite ground shakers, I was able to kill it with ease, almost two-shotted it with the broadsword, didn't even have to get the third hit in. I mean, the third hit is basically kill everything. I don't think any normal monster in the game can ever withstand the third hit of the broadsword, but again, the only problem is that it's just way too slow, and it comes out as the last strike of the combo. As you saw there, put down the crusher, put down, and just smack it a few times with the broadsword. This cavern area is going to go on for a bit longer because I know the caverns is a pretty big biome. And I've been trying to get to the shops so I can actually upgrade the items in my inventory, but finally I was able to move on forwards to the giant boss fight, and in a second you'll just see how much damage I'm able to do to the giant. I mean, that chunk of health that I did was just massive, and you'll see in a second I'm able to do another massive chunk of damage. And I think the reason this is possible is because of the boss damage cap, because I'm pretty positive I would have done more damage had I not been stopped by the cap. And just like that, giant is dead. That was a no-hit fight, and I'm going to skip High Peak Castle because I was doing pretty well. Already found, I think, like 2 challenge rifts and 3 curse chests, additional one from the Arboretum. I was just feeling really confident, so I'm just gonna move on forwards to the Hand of the King fight. Got hit there. Again, this is one of those builds where you can't get too greedy with your attacks. Just like that, I tried to land the third hit, but of course I got too greedy, that's why I got hit. So unfortunately lost the no-hit. I was doing pretty well in this fight so far, and I don't know how, but I didn't get hit by that barrage of bombs. As soon as I killed the first 2 enemies in this phase, I'm just going to use a health potion because I don't think it's worth the risk if I just toughed it out. So Hand of the King comes back, gonna do the giant ground slam attack, not a problem. Once again, I was able to land the third hit in, and Crusher's doing a crap ton of damage, and just like that, Hand of the King is down. Unfortunately, again, lost the no-hit, but I think I've been doing extremely well this run so far. So I'm gonna move on forwards to the Astrolab, which is the last portion of the game. For those that actually care about spoilers, again, obviously just don't watch this section. Some people have been asking me about a tier list on the in-game soundtrack for Dead Cells. That does sound pretty interesting, and I think at the Astrolab will score extremely high on that tier list, because I think the music in this biome is just spot on. Like, it is perfect, because you have suffered literally for hundreds of hours already just trying to get to 5 BC, and the music in this biome is just like the perfect thing to reward a player that has suffered so far and so long just trying to get to this portion of the game. So I found another challenge rift in there. I'm gonna go back there in a second. I don't know what I was doing. I probably should have went back there now. But anyways, I'm gonna go through the challenge rift, speed up this portion of the video again. I've been having some trouble spotting challenge rifts recently, and there I just had to pass up a quadruple statted tactics amulet. Unfortunately, I'm not running tactics. It would have been pretty nice. You don't see the quadruple stat amulets very often. But anyways, gonna just keep going on with the challenge rift, and I didn't have the extra jump, so I did have to be a bit careful near the end of the challenge rift. I find the food shop, but fortunately I'm just doing so well at this point, I just don't need any healing at all. Gonna kill the first failed experiment and the elite slasher, which gives me the 2 keys required to progress with the biome. And I probably won't show too much of this area, I will just show the highlights. But as you saw there, I was just able to do so much damage with the third hit of the broadsword, assuming that you can actually pull it off. And here what I'm doing is that I'm just isolating the enemy so I can kill them faster. And when the slammers jump to you, there is a brief time when they are vulnerable. So I'm kind of just using it to take advantage of my situation here. And I don't know what I was doing, I got hit by that attack. I went back to grab some food, At this point of the game, I still had gastronomy as one of my mutations, and again, I don't know what I was doing here, but I think I was just being a bit too greedy. I definitely need to watch out a bit more for that portion where the trap puzzles are. And thankfully, I was able to get some rally points back, heal back up to 100%, so doing extremely well right now. I don't know what I was doing here. I brought the spiked shield, but I don't think I was gonna need it at this point. And finally, moving forwards to the collector boss fight, final stretch of the game. This time around, I don't have a shield. I mean, I do, but it's in the backpack, and I really wanted to try out the dual binding build with the broadsword. So, I've said this sometime in the past, but I feel a lot more confident in this fight if I had a shield, because some of the collector's attacks I'm just not too familiar with, and I have some trouble dodging it without a shield. I don't know why, but I've been I can't really pay attention to the collector's attacks if I don't have a shield. But thankfully, I've been doing extremely well in this fight so far. Already got the collector down to 1 heal. I was able to land this 3rd strike on the broadsword, get a bit of airtime before the missiles came down. I thought I could get the 2nd heal in, but unfortunately, I was not fast enough, and I had to move on to the enemy room. I don't know what the collector was doing right here. I thought I was gonna get soft locked, but thankfully he came down. I guess he didn't want to break the game as well, so I was able to keep on going with the fight. I just kind of put the death orb from the left side of the arena, so it kind of slowly moves onto the right, so it killed all the enemies. I don't think the death orb is the best survival skill out there, but it was the best I had right now, and from what I can tell, it's actually doing pretty well so far. So finally, moving forwards to the 3rd and final heal, gonna get teleported to the final room. This part was definitely a bit tricky because the collector won't have a time where he's doing nothing. And with that expanding light beam attack, that's the one I struggled the most with. So I was just kind of keeping my distance because I didn't want to risk anything. But already we're able to get the collector to drop the flask, gonna trinket and finally finish up the fight because I have the shield from emergency triage, and that was a no-hit collector boss fight. So in a second here, you'll actually see me getting the achievement for no-hitting the collector and the white king outfit, which you get for doing exactly the same, no-hitting the collector. So believe it or not, this was actually my first time no-hitting the collector. I know that was a mouthful to say and pretty repetitive, but finally there was the run. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. As for the mutation guide, I'm going to wait till 2.3 is out so I can account for the new mutations that are being added. And on top of that, the next build I'm going to try out is the Marksman's Bow build. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching guys, and have a good one.